Hello, I'm Jordan Maxwell, and for the next hour and a half I want to talk with you about the symbol you see behind me. It is the national coat of arms of the Soviet Union. It's the symbol for world communism. And while the Soviet Union may not any longer exist as a communist state, make no mistake about it, communism dominates the world. And today communism is pervading in our country of America and around the globe. And unfortunately, the people of this world are not aware of the insidious symbolism of secret societies that are now taking over the entire globe. And the people of this globe today have no idea what these symbols mean. So it is my purpose to present as best I can the information about the lineage of this symbol, the history of this communist movement, and the symbol of the Soviet Union. America is now a world communist state. You need to understand the symbolism of world communism and where these symbols come from and the secret societies who are financing the overthrow of the United States government by a communist world power. Secret societies hidden behind world leaders. So in the next hour and a half, I hope to enlighten you a bit about the symbols of world communism. And keeping in mind that world communism, Nazism, fascism, all of the isms that tend to destroy freedom, liberty, and justice for the world is now being perpetrated in America. You need to understand the symbols of world communism and their history. So for the next hour and a half, as I said, go with me through the background and the hidden or occult history of the Soviet Communist world movement. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Soviet Communist state arms. The symbol you're looking at is referred to as the state arms or the Soviet national symbol for world communism of the Soviet Union. This is a very long story, but this symbol is of profound significance even today. Let's start with back in 1953, the California legislature issued a group of books, and this was the 11th in the series of 13. And it was called the Senate Investigating Committee on Education. And it was published by the state of California, the Senate. And here on page 168, it says, since many intelligent persons, even in high official positions, do not appear to have acquainted themselves with the real nature and seriousness of communism, it is perhaps appropriate to give briefly some really informative and authentic data concerning it. Communism and Russia are by no means synonymous. Russia merely occupies the unfortunate position of being communism's first victim. Communism is synonymous with world revolution and seeks the destruction of all nations, including abolition of patriotism, religion, marriage, the family, private property, and all political and civil liberties, and the establishment of a worldwide dictatorship of the so-called proletariat, which is an autocratic, self-constituted dictatorship by a small group of self-perpetuating revolutionists. So this is what we're talking about tonight, is the communist movement, world communism. Now the next page went on to say that so-called modern communism is apparently the same hypocritical and deadly world conspiracy to destroy civilization that was founded by the secret order of the Illuminati in Bavaria on May 1st, 1776, and that raised its hoary head here in our colonies at critical periods before the adoption of our federal constitution. See the book World Revolution by Nestor Webster. The World Revolution conspiracy appears to have been so well organized as to be ever continuing and ever on the alert to take advantage of every opportunity presenting itself or that the conspirators could create. It is significant in this connection that as early as 1783, when unsettled conditions and dissatisfaction in some quarters had arisen in the American colonies, a subversive anonymous sermon was circulated among the colonial army to incite dissatisfaction and rebellion. George Washington immediately called the army together and in addressing them used this significant language. Remember, this is from the book Marshall's Life of Washington, page 86 through 87, volume 4. Quoting George Washington, 1783, he said, quote, "My God, what can this writer have in view by recommending such measures? Can he be a friend to the army? Can he be a friend to this country? Rather, is he not an insidious foe, some emissary perhaps from New York, plotting the ruin of both by sowing seeds of discord and separation between the civil and military powers of the continent? And what a compliment does he pay to our understanding when he recommends measures which are either alternative and impractical in their nature." He goes on to say, quote, "It is plain that Washington believed that the center of this secret conspiracy, so far as this country was concerned, to be located in New York, and felt it to be his duty to make such a allusion. While the center of such conspiracy, so far as this country is concerned, has continued to use New York as its base, up to the present time it is very apparent that in recent times New York has held and is now holding the center of the stage for communist activities in this country." The recognition of May 1st, 1776 as the founding date of this world revolution conspiracy is not difficult to understand when it is realized that May Day is frequently celebrated, even in recent times, by rioting and bloodshed on a worldwide scale. This is an interesting paragraph. It was not until 1847 or 1848 that the communist conspirators, who had theretofore operated in secret, came out in the open with the manifesto of the Communist Party by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, boldly proclaiming against practically everything upon which civilization is based, against God, religion, the family, individual liberties, and so forth. But the next, the bottom paragraph is very important. It says, "In issuing this manifesto, the communist conspirators evidently believed that the time had arrived when, with the aid of ignorant victims, a worldwide takeover could be accomplished. But there were not enough ignorant victims then, and the expected coup failed. The communist conspirators thereupon conceived a plan for the future of supplementing the long-established secret conspiracy in existence since May 1st, 1776. This is the founding date of real communism. May 1st, 1776, with an unremittent public campaign for victims among the ignorant of all nations, and in an attempt to hide from view the underlying hypocritical conspiracy existing since May 1st, 1776, it was decided that in such public campaign, the Manifesto of 1848 should be heralded as the founding date of communism, and Karl Marx falsely proclaimed as its author." Karl Marx, in fact, did not write the Communist Manifesto. He was merely a front man who put his name. The Communist Manifesto was put together by a group of men called the League of Just Men. Later on, that League of Just Men became known as the League of Communists. And later on, their book became known as the Manifesto of the Communist Party. But it was the League of Just Men who wrote the Communist Manifesto, not Karl Marx. Anyway, in A Conspiracy Against God and Man, Reverend Clarence Kelly. Now this particular book was a study of the beginnings and the early history of the great communist movement of the world. Reverend Clarence Kelly. And in the book, he talks about, regarding these same secret and powerful forces, Benjamin Disraeli, the English statesman, gave testimony in the British House of Commons on July 14, 1856. And on that occasion, he said, quote, "There is in Italy a power which we seldom mention in this house. I mean the secret societies. It is useless to deny, because it's impossible to conceal, that a great part of Europe and the whole of Italy and France and a great portion of Germany, to say nothing of other countries, is covered with a network of these secret societies, just as the surfaces of the earth are now being covered with railroads." And 20 years later, on September 10, 1876, Benjamin Disraeli was moved to make the following statement, quote, "The governments of the present day have to deal not merely with other governments, with emperors, kings, and ministers, but also with the secret societies which have everywhere their unscrupulous agents and can at the last moment upset all the government's plans."